As the seasons change and change, I am by your side. I am by your side, always and forever. Don't forget it. Hi, I'm your girl, Jeanette Smith, certified life strategist and mindset coach, coming to you with another, what I know will be a beautiful day in content and sharing and community. So good morning to everybody. I see you all already in the chats. Hi, Michael. Good morning. Yes. Welcoming Mr. Savalas in. We are fine. He is fine. Bright, shiny faces. We're all in our places. You are enough. That's it, Michael. Hey, good morning, Pamela. Thank you for saying hello to my family as well. Good morning, Sister Leola, Sister Helen. Good morning. Hey, Sis Pam Williams. Good to see you back. Stephanie. All right. Lisa, and Monique is in the house. Good to have you all. Good to have you all. Hope you can stay on. Somebody said they're working. I see you in Periscope. I get it. You got to do what you got to do. Got to do what you got to do. But for the time that you are with us, we'll be grateful. How about that? Yes, it is the Release Devotional Journey 2.0. 2.0 because many of you were with us when we did the first go round of the Release Devotional. Hi, Jennifer. How are you? And what a fabulous time in just word and self-discovery was that. I mean, my goodness, 21 days. And we bent it over backwards, looked at it forward, front, side to side. And now we're back with the 2.0. 2.0 because there were some topics that you all said, hey, we need to revisit this. And I want to make sure that I get it right. And a couple of those topics included, feelings buried alive, never die, which we did last week with my brother in ministry, Willie Diggs, and my sister, Reverend Cherie Smith Claiborne, both of them elders in their different denominations and pastoral positions. And so now we're back and we're taking a look at another topic that you said was very important to you. And that was this topic of you are enough. It ironic, but not so ironic how God works, because yesterday in our Motivational Monday, you all took it the lesson a whole different way. We were talking about finding our purpose, and I'm glad for the redirect. I always want to serve you all and meet you all where you are, but we were talking about how to find your place of purpose, and what we hit was the place of where most people are stuck, believing that they're worthy of succeeding, believing that they are good enough to make their dream come true. Hey, Neil, how are you? And so, yes, we're looking forward to this topic again of speaking on you are not enough. And so to help me out today, get your emojis together, pull out all that radical hospitality, and welcome your brother from the trenches, Savalas Lofton. Okay. Yay. Hey there. You know what I have to do? I have to unmute you. There you go. Now
you. Good morning, everybody. Good to be here.
It's interesting. It's like you went from that side of the screen to this side of the screen. You made the jump.
Yeah.
Made the jump. Good to see you, brother. Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
First, just introduce to people, because they're, some of them may have been following you, but some of them may have only known you from being, an insight and a light bearer in the chat room. So introduce yourself according to what God has graced you to be able to do in your life.
Okay, my name is, of course, Savalas Lofton, and, I'm an author of Adamira's Glance novel. I'm currently working on another novel called Letting Go of the Perfect. And so I'm a teacher. I love teaching. I love marketing. I'm also a magazine columnist, and I've been in ministry now for over 17 years. So, but above all things, and I was thinking about that this morning, I said, there's a lot of awards and accomplishments that I have achieved, but the greatest accomplishment that I've ever achieved is being able to meet God's appointment on time. So basically, to be where God wants me to be, I think is the greatest achievement that I could ever accomplish. So I just dwell on that and focus on that, and I'm excited.
Yes, and we're excited to have you. And you can see all of your family in the chat is excited too to see you.
Yeah, love everybody.
Tell us a little bit about your personal connection to this topic.
Where do I start? I could not sleep last night, and that was a good thing. Like I told you before, my heart is very full, and there's so much packed in this one title of "You Are Not Enough." And I started reading the scripture that it supports, and found out that there's actually packed in there two words that are in enough. And what I got out of the scripture was where it says, "In our completeness is now found in him. We are completely filled with God as Christ's fullness overflows within us." And there's two words, is filled and complete. Fill and complete. And I don't want to go too ahead of myself, so I'll wait a little bit. But in the book of Colossians, because I like to do a background study, there's four themes that we see. In chapter 1, we see it talking about the deeper life. In chapter 2, we see it talking about the higher life. In chapter 3, we see it talking about the inner life. And chapter 4, we see it talking about the outward life. So we're talking today about the higher life. So I'm excited to talk about that today.
But I want to know your personal connection to this subject matter, your personal connection.
Well, I'll start from a personal testimony. You know, I know that we're limited by time, but the one that stands out to me is in 2011. My first wife, she passed, having my daughter. And that was a very crucial time. That was traumatic, but at the same time, it was life defining, because here I was now, the single father of 3 children, a newborn, and 2 additional children. And so, with that being said, it altered my my concept, my way of life, my rhythm, that I was accustomed to. And I had to ask myself, am I enough? Am I going to be able to take the baby to her appointments and be able to change her diaper, waking up on time with her, and then at the same time dealing with the loss of my wife? And I remember having to travel to Dallas, Texas, to the children's hospital, because I wasn't sure if she was going to make it. And I had a lot of people at that time to say, "Oh my God, man, you are so strong." And I told them, I was like, and they were asking me, "Aren't you upset with God? Aren't you mad that God took your wife away?" And I'm like, well, I explained it to them like this. I said, if you could not swim and someone pushed you in 12 feet of water, are you going to ask who pushed me, or are you going to cry out for help? And I decided to cry out for help. But on this journey, that journey of becoming a better father and single father at the time, and letting God deal with me, and I was still in ministry.
Yeah.
Ministering to people while I would go home and cry tears at night. And it was just a long, lengthy process. So when you say, talking from you are enough, I couldn't have done it without God. And that's the only way that I could have made it, is realizing that it's not me, saying that I'm enough in myself, but finding myself in God, and realizing and understanding that I can do all things through Christ, which strengthens me.
I think it's so interesting that wrapped in your testimony is this simple reminder that for all of us, because what I heard, I'm so connected to you all now in the chat. Like it's almost like I can hear you. What I heard in the chat room was the collective whoa, right? We've chatted and we've talked with this guy. We have laughed with him. We have done this. I had no idea. that this is what he has gone through in life, right? And it's also a reminder to us that the thing that you're struggling with, saying, am I enough? And asking yourself, am I enough? Means something totally different to somebody else. Because you might be thinking, am I enough to finish this task or this job or get this project done or to find a new job or to do this or whatever's going on in your life right now? And here's somebody who's had to figure out, am I enough based on what life circumstances has now given me? And I've got to raise these 3 children. I've got to plus, and I know we're not trying to dig into it, but you still had to go through the process as a person of grieving the loss of your spouse and of moving through that. And so you're trying to take care of you and be, and then you're trying to manage them, and because they had their own process to go through. So I'm just saying that's a reminder to us all. Here's another person that if he can make it, you can make it. Right.
Exactly.
You started talking about the scripture and because we have all people meet us from different faith levels and your understanding of a God, we always jump off from a great book called The Good Book. And if you join us from that vantage point, because we're not trying to do Bible study, but we are trying to just give a foundation for, that's his book, by the way. At a Mirror's Glance, you can find it on Amazon. I was trying to pull the scripture up. Let me do that one again. But I think there, as you said, there's some golden nuggets in here. So I backed up a little bit because we actually looked at verse 10 for the devotional, but we'll back up. I'm going to back up even to 8 today. We didn't do 8 in the first version, but let's back it up to 8. Just for today. Beware that nobody distracts you or intimidates you in their attempt to lead you away from Christ's fullness, right? Because we're full in Christ, but don't let anybody distract you and intimidate you and try to lead you away from what you should know by pretending that they're full of wisdom when they're full of endless arguments of human logic. Now, why did I want to do that? Because if you scroll around Facebook and Instagram and all that, you're going to see a lot of endless arguments of human logic, pretending that they're full of wisdom, especially right in this time, right? Scroll past that. Don't let that stuff distract you, and don't let it intimidate you, okay? For they operate with humanistic and clouded judgments based on the mindset of this world system, not the anointed truths of the anointed one, which we know is Jesus. All right. I need y'all to just sit with that for just a second, because where we are as a country right now, and not just the country, but this is a discussion, this race discussion is happening all over the world. You can feel like you're not enough in the skin you're in based on what people are saying. They're endless arguments of human logic based on the mindset of this world system. You are enough. You are awesome just the way you are. God made you. You weren't a mistake. You weren't a curse. You weren't any of that crap, right? For he is the complete fullness of deity living in human form. We know in the Christian faith, Jesus came in human form, a part of God, to live amongst us so that we can figure out how we're supposed to do this as spiritual beings. And our own completeness is now found in him. This can sometimes be the argument in Christianity. You're not enough. You need him. But we are enough because we have him, right? We're completely filled with God as Christ's fullness overflows with us. He's the head of every kingdom and the authority of the universe. Through our union with him, when you're not doing it on your own, we have experienced circumcision of the heart. That's cutting away of the stuff that we don't need. Cutting away of the stuff that would infect us, cutting away of the stuff that doesn't serve us. So you get to the real heart. All of the guilt and power of sin has been cut away, all of that. And now it's distinct because of what Christ, the anointed one, has accomplished for us. And you started talking about some of the nuggets you got out of the scripture.
Yeah, and I would make it as simple as possible.
You're good.
But I just think that the background of the text is so important, because at that time, it was 32 years after the death of Christ, and they were basically thriving as a church. And so what happened was that there were heresies that were entering into the church that was kind of coming to get them, off course, and coming to get, double-minded, and beginning to doubt where they were, who they were, and infiltrating by way of heresies. And I thought about that's what's going on, is that we have to be grounded and rooted, and words are very powerful.
Yes.
I heard this quote that says, thoughts become words, words become action, action becomes character, and character becomes habit, and habit a way of life. So we cannot not minimize the power of life and death, and the power of the tongue when it comes to where we are today. And so with that being said, we have to be mindful, what are we taking on as our identity? Everything that is around us has a name. Water bottle, we have the television behind you, the poster, the couch, everything has a name. And whatever is called, it becomes its identity. Such, you call my name, I call your name, and we answer to that. And so with that being said, what is calling our name? Is it lack? Is it hurt? Is it disappointment? Is it abuse? Are we allowing the names that we're being called to define who we are? Or are we challenging that narrative of what we should be refusing to accept? Yeah. And that's the important thing. And that's where my heart was, is that when I hear that you are enough, God spoke to my heart this morning and said that you are not enough is not just another motivational topic, but it is a clarion's call from God's heart to yours. It is a clarion call from God's heart to yours.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that part of what happened yesterday is kind of a good jumping off point for today too. I was talking to you about this. He said identity. Yes, sir. Because we raised a question, because there were plenty of people. And in the book, I talk about how society basically is geared toward making you feel like not enough, because how do I sell you a bunch of stuff you don't need if you feel like you have everything you need? And so marketing and advertisers, everybody will try, like, you don't have enough of this. You need more of this. It's all based on fear. And so we have to look at fear as an element too, that is a catalyst for making you doubt. And I'm not going to go deep, but if we go all the way back to the garden, fear of missing out, FOMO, what got us here? Fear of missing out got us here. There's some stuff in this tree that if you eat of this, if you only had this product, is the master marketer. If you only had this product off of this tree, you'd know everything. You'd have all the answers to life. They already had.
But wait, there's more.
Right, exactly. And they already had everything they needed. But I laugh at that, and you laugh at that. But that is the snaky system that we're in.
It is very true.
Trying to make you feel like you don't have enough. The answers you have are already inside you. The things that you need to get assignment done are already there. So going back to a question that was raised yesterday about who was it, what was it that planted that seed that you weren't enough? And it doesn't even have to be, for many people, I think it's hard to identify because it's not always like some big overt thing that happened. Hi, smile more. I see you in Periscope. It can be just the subtle seed. Just like, is it, are you, just a subtle little seed. Monique says the system definitely disconnects us from our truth. Absolutely. It thrives on that. You won't need the system if you are secure in who you are and through whom you exist and are able to thrive. So let's go back to that question from yesterday. And I want you to start, Savalas. Let's use the example, if you don't mind, of the testimony you shared. What was it for you that made you think, and it didn't have to be deep, but just whatever,
Yeah.
that made you
Okay.
think maybe I'm not enough for this? What
Hmm.
what can you pinpoint as some of the things that led you down that path of thinking for a minute?
Number one, it was a place I had never been before.
Uncertain.
So yeah, it was a place that I had never been before. And also, when it came to me feeling that I wasn't enough, is meeting like what qualifications do I have? You
Yeah.
know, because I wasn't, you know, being a dad is a little bit different than being a mother. You know, being a father, you focus on compassion, but you're also focused on provision. Where in a mother, you know, she focuses on, you know, making sure that the child emotionally is fit and things of that nature. And so I had to, like I said before, shift my role to thinking that, hey, this is not about being a father or being a mother, but this is about being there for your kids. And if I can digress back to one of the things that you talked about, is sometimes we can encounter what I would like to call Trojan horse comments or suggestions. And what I mean by that is that sometimes a person can come to you and say, "Girl, aren't you getting a little bit, you know, big for that dress?" Or, "Man, you know, you're not there by now." And you say, "Oh, you know, really,
Yeah.
that's offensive," but it comes by way of a joke. It's a Trojan horse, and so here we are, going about our lives thinking, maybe I have gained too much weight, or maybe I can't do this. There are thoughts that there are thoughts that comes into our lives that are unchallenged, and as a result, those seeds, which are our words, winds up taking root into our lives and into our minds. And we don't challenge them. We cultivate them. And so as life continues to grow and as we continue to experience certain things, the events begin to confirm what we feel that makes it even more of a reality.
You know, we talk about in all things finding purpose, right? I told you
Mhm.
all I've quit using there's a everything happens for a purpose thing for a while and focus more on in everything I can find purpose, right?
Right, right.
And so I think it's interesting that even in this time, you mentioned about, you know, what had been the traditional role for you and your wife and how you all raised your children. And I think it's interesting that we're in a point in time in life right now where emotional bandwidth and stability and things are having to come from mothers and fathers because
Oh yeah.
there's so much happening right now that
Mhm.
you need perspective from all sides. And I think that's a blessing because I think sometimes we lose out. I think you have to turn your volume down just a little bit, Savalas, because I'm
Okay.
starting to get a little bit of feedback. I think that sometimes we we go, you know, we'll let you do that. I'm not saying this is what happened. That's you all decided how you were doing your thing, but I'm seeing now how my friends are having to talk to their children about what it means to be a black and brown man in America today, and what does that mean for my black and brown children, you know, and
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, just and being able to do those things. So I see that as an opportunity, and I love your imagery of the Trojan horse. It's that sneaky thing. It comes in like a joke. It drops off a
Those,
little seed, little Molotov cocktail, blows it up, and then and then leaves. And that's what the question was we were asking yesterday. And I'm going to pose it differently today because I want us to keep digging into this. Who or what experience keeps you held to a belief that you are not enough? We started an exercise I want to continue with today, um,
Mhm.
and then advance it. But we have to start here. Who or what experience? And you all chat it up. And if you don't want to say what it was, at least say that you know you got it. it's in your mind. You know who it is. You can identify it. I want you all to put some skin in the game on that, because I shared with you all something from my youth that I didn't even realize about the little girl who was doing a garage sale with me, and made me feel like my things, the things that I valued, weren't as valuable to others as they were to me. Right. And it's funny how even in your childhood, you put these things together in a way that that's not what that means, but you're trying to make sense of what's happening to you. Right. And so I want to share this with you. Valis mentioned a different kind of version of it, but I want to, I share this with my clients, and I want to share this with you all. That seed he's talking about, it gets dropped off. It's an experience. It's what happens to you as an experience. You have it as an experience. It creates this thought in you. Like for me, it was like, well, my things aren't as valuable to other people as they are to me, right? Which makes me feel some sort of way. It creates this emotion on the inside of me. And from that emotion, I make a decision about that, right? And out of my decision, I take certain actions, and the actions that you do over and over again become your habits, and your habits lead you to a destination or your character or a position, right? So it's really important that you understand kind of what he brought up. I call it the 7 steps, because it's how you can manifest in any direction. You can manifest if you're good, or you can manifest in the negative, because whatever you decide and however you feel, and let me tell you where the tricky part comes. You can experience it. You can have thoughts about it. You can even have an emotion about it. You can be mad. That's why the Bible talks about be angry, but sin not. Because after you feel the emotion, it's that decision that's going to determine where you land.
Yes. And can I say just one thing about the emotions, is that the emotions can't determine whether or not if something is false or a reality. And let me qualify what I'm saying, because you can go to a movie theater and see a scary movie, and the person is coming around the corner. You don't know if they're going to die or not. Oh my God. And that fear rises up in you. The picture is not real. They're acting on stage. But the fear that comes as a result of that is just as real as if you're in the street and a car is about to hit you or something like that. So our emotions, we have to be careful how much clout and how much respect we give to them.
Yes.
And that before, that decision is so important. So fear is a healthy thing when placed in context, but we can't let the fear drive our lives. So when fear comes in, you can come into the car, but I'm not going to let you drive. Don't touch the radio.
That's my favorite. I love that. Because what is, if you're not careful, and I love you said, don't even touch the radio. Because the thing is, it not only will fear get in the car, it'll throw you in the trunk and then take you.
Come on now.
And so you have to really manage that. And that's why, you all already know, we talk about it all the time, that you can feel it, you face it, right? So that you can understand it, focus on it. And what we're talking about in the area of focus is so that you give it right perspective. I tell you all the time, if I put this up here, you think it's the biggest thing until I put it in perspective and in alignment with where I am. It's not that big a deal. Right. So you have to be able to manage that. Now, I asked the question, and I see that you all have got your answers. Who or what experience keeps you held to belief you're not enough? And I see Pamela, Lisa says she's got it. She knows what it is. Pamela says she's got it. Neil says family, childhood, got you. Jennifer says childhood, teenage experiences, got you. Michael says he's got it. Anthony says, oh, hi. Hey, Anthony. Michael, yep, you got to feel it and face it. And Monique says that it was her entire graduate school experience. She left college experience where she felt supported and validated in her gift of dance into a space where I wasn't, and lived consistently in an energy of feeling small. Wow. Unknown. Yep, yep. Today, this shows up in me being afraid to take up space. Wow.
Mhm.
I mean, but here's the thing, Monique, that level of self-realization, like you can't even buy that. Like the
Oh
fact that
yeah.
you know what that is, that
Hmm.
you put your finger on it. And so that's what I want to do with somebody today. If somebody wants to, now listen, to be able to do this, let me just tell you, you have to be on one of my pages, my main pages. You can't be in a watch party. I'm glad that you're on the watch parties, but you have to be either on one of my main pages on Facebook, YouTube, or Periscope. All right. You have to be on one of these pages. If you want to talk about it with us, I'll send out the link. I'll send out the link. You click the link. You don't have to be on camera if you don't want to. It can be voice only if you want it to. And if you have a hard time with the link, just tell me, and then I'll just DM it straight to you. We can do it that way too. So think about that if you want to talk about it. And okay, Miss Helen, you got yours. You can think about it. And Tamara's peers, family, and church. Got you. And listen, it can happen in church.
Oh yeah.
Anything can happen in church. Let me tell you why. Because we're people and people go to church. And not only that, church is the spiritual hospital where the
Hmm.
broken and those who are needing a myriad of things come. And so,
Yeah.
yes, it can happen there too. It shouldn't happen there, but it can happen there. The job is on the leadership, the shepherd of the house, and all of those that work
Hmm.
with that person or persons to protect, right?
Hmm.
Guard and protect, but it can happen. And unfortunately, many of us have had church hurt. So,
Yeah.
um, what did you want to share while we're waiting? If anybody wants to just tell me, I want to share, and then I'll send the link to you.
While they're doing that, I want to go back to peers, family, and church.
Yeah.
And as you're saying, church hurt is deep. Number one, because it's spiritual and emotional. And it's another place where your guards are automatically down.
Down.
Down. It's almost like having somebody to hit you in the face without putting you, at least in the
Put
world.
your hands up. Right.
Yeah, you got your hands up in the in the secular world because you're expecting for people to throw certain blows and say certain things. But when it comes to the church, and let me preface this by saying that there are some good churches out there, but in the ones where the preacher is hurt, the preacher is suffering, or the leadership is suffering, the leadership has these traditions and have these things that they place on the people that are false narratives, it hurts the individual. And some people don't come back to church. They don't come back around.
Heck,
Yeah.
they don't come back to God. How about that?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And so that's where my heart is. And I'm so glad that this is such a blessing to have this today, to be able to discuss that some things that happened to you weren't your fault, but you can deal with them and get over them and become better and allow it to make you a victor and not a victim.
And that's kind of where I want to move to next. I haven't seen that anybody wants to share, so I'm going to move to the next part of the exercise. You all just continue to do it there, wherever you are. He said, "Buckle up." You
I love
better,
Neil.
yeah,
I
you
gotta
gotta
meet
love
him one day.
it. Absolutely, absolutely. I hope you all do. Yeah, absolutely. And Monique said, "You better say that." Absolutely. So here's the thing: we already asked, "Do you know who or what?" And you all said you did. Okay. So now this is a continuation of where we stopped yesterday. You're going to write down the things that have happened in life that confirm the truth of the matter, which is you are enough. And these things include all the times when you didn't think you'd make it through, or a circumstance,
Yes,
situation
yes.
where you did survive, like what Savalas was sharing with us. A time when you felt like you weren't enough and you rose to the occasion. A time when you didn't know how you were going to get out, but God showed up. Because remember, it's in Him that we're enough.
Hmm.
So even if God showed up and did it for you, that was your proof and validation.
That's come on.
You are
You
enough, right? So any of those things that happen that tell the truth of the story, you're going to write all of those things down. You are enough. And now I want you to be brave and bold. I want you to lean in today. I want you to put one truth in the chat box, in the comments. What's one truth that you can say about yourself that contradicts whatever somebody said? Hey, Jose, that contradicts whatever you said, or whatever was said to you, or whatever that Trojan horse little thought was dropped in on you, whatever that seed that was planted. What is one truth that you can share today? And so what I learned was, well, let me take her comment first. She said, this is where I got stuck yesterday. I can't see any times that would prove that I'm enough in the area of dance because I quit. But here's the thing. It's not about dance. It's not about garage sale items. It's not about, it's about you a being. Because what happened, Monique, you just decided not to focus on dance. You quit that season. But if you, right now, the Monique I know today, if you turned all your attention and focus back to that area and you decided that's what you want to do, you would do it. I've seen you change careers. I've seen you adjust your focus for your own business. I've seen, so that's your evidence right there. That is your proof that when I turn my focus, because where focus goes, energy flows, where I focus it, I am effective in that area. So you can't kind of judge. That's not apples to apples because you quit, but then you didn't go back and focus on that. And here's what else I know, because I follow you. I've seen you. She's been a client of mine before, and now we're colleagues and friends. I've seen you when you danced. You put up some video of you dancing just like a few weeks ago, and you hadn't done it in a while. And all the comments that I saw about how anointed you were, how, oh my God, this just filled me up. Oh my gosh, this was so healing for me. That is your validation. That is your proof that you are enough. You just have to decide that that's what you want to do. If that's what you want to do, you're enough to do it. All of those people's comments was your proof. All right. Neil says, I became motivated to prove me right. That's good. Because a lot of times it is the juice of the haterade that will help you rise. You use it as fuel and you help yourself rise up out of it. Tamara says, I'm still standing and growing every day. Absolutely. If you, here's what I know about you. You still come to church and you serve. So I don't know what your church hurt was. And I don't know what all that happened or when that happened or what season of life that was. But I see you show up. And I see you work with those children. And I see you give it 120%. You are still standing and you are still growing. The fact that we know that we need to grow is a big deal because some people feel they need to grow.
That is so true. And while they're still making their comments, can I say something to Monique?
Asking me if you can say something. You can always say something. Okay. Say something.
A lesson that I've learned, I love colognes. I buy them almost all the time. But one thing that I've noticed is that when it comes to colognes, there are 3 notes. And you can read this on the package. There is the top note, there's the middle note, and then there's the bottom note. The top note is what you smell in the store. When they spray it, you immediately smell the top note and it's mixed with different fragrances. And then it kind of calms down. You still can smell it on the second note. It's the bottom note that gives it the essence. But the funny thing is your nostrils have been so accustomed to the cologne or perfume that you have on that you can no longer smell it. And so that's why some people go, that smells so good. What do you have on? Like what? You don't smell it anymore. It's the third note, but it's still active. And so what I mean by that is that we may initially have the excitement, which is the first note of the fragrance, and even may be aware or certain things, but then sometimes life hits us. Sometimes we feel like we've checked out of our gift and we're not operating in it as much as we should. And then we dance and you get the comments. People, oh my God, that was such a blessing to you. And you're like, what?
What
They're
was
smelling. They're smelling the third note. You
it?
just can't. You can no longer smell it, but your fragrance is still exuding from your life. And so, Monique, I want you to continue to appreciate that. That is we should always go for what we feel all of the time. But just know, as long as you're abiding in love, as long as you're abiding in your purpose, you're always going to be able to give off a fragrance.
I think she hears a good sigh. I see, I see, I see, I see, I see, I see. It's so funny too because because we were actually talking about your purpose, and one of the things that I
Mhm.
say here, I have people list out their strengths and what they're good at, and what I realize is a lot of times people don't even value their own gifts and strengths because it comes so easy to them. They don't
Mhm.
they don't hold a certain value to it. Where there's other people that would pay dearly for what you just kind of roll over in your sleep and do, right? Because
Yeah,
it's a natural God-given gift. So
natural God given gift.
we have to learn how to honor the things that God's given us that, she said it happened before Team Claiborne arrived. I understand. No need to. I got you, girl. I got you. Thank you. Love you too. Helen said she had to prove herself right too. So that absolutely resonated with her. Tamara says, we're all winners. We learn from our setbacks. Hopefully that's what we do. We have to
Mhm.
learn from our setbacks, but that's why these kind of forums, and that's why I try to tell you all, don't sleep on these forums. Like, share these, get your friends and family and people in, because sometimes all somebody needs, you've been having the same talk with that cousin, or you've been having that same thing with and they can't hear you anymore because it's like the top.
Mhm.
They've been there, done that. They've heard you, sent it out. Okay. But sometimes they need somebody else, that middle and that bottom note, to come in and say something differently in a way that they haven't kind of heard it before, and give them
That's
perspective
right.
about themselves, right? We all need that.
Mhm.
We all need that. She said, my heart's truly touched. I definitely cannot clearly see what's exuding from me. Oh, it's exactly right. None of us do. None of us do.
Yeah.
None of us do. And so that's why you got to have people around you that can give you perspective on yourself. Ting,
Mhm. Ding.
ting.
Ding.
Absolutely. All right. So we've talked about those things that we listed that we can truly say help combat the thought. Because listen, you have to take that thought, you have to rip it out by the root, and you have to burn it.
Mm,
You have to destroy it. Because if you even leave a little bit of the tip of the root in there, I promise you it'll try to grow back. You have,
exactly.
you have to destroy it. And that's why the last part of the exercise is, well, not the last part, the next to last part is you have to address it. You have to bury it and burn it. You have to address it. You have to bury it and burn it. What does that look like? What did that look like
Mhm.
for you? What did addressing it, burying and burning and burying it look like for you, Savalas?
I I brought something today. It's a rose. And I brought this rose for a reason, because on the rose, every rose has its thorns and every rose has its blossom. And I found myself surrounded around people and thoughts and things of that nature that always focused on my thorns,
Yeah,
your mistakes, your problems, your issues. And though those things were not necessarily true, but even the ones that I even told myself, does not allow me to appreciate or focus on the fragrance of the flower. And
right.
so, being said, thorns are not bad, because the thorn on the rose is meant to protect the rose from people that will hinder its cultivation. The only people that are able to handle the rose are those who knows how to appreciate it, like the floral people, to handle the rose.
You have to know
And
how to handle it. Come on now.
you got to know how to handle it. So when you're looking at choosing a spouse or looking at choosing friends, choose people who will appreciate your whole flower and not just your thorns.
I love that. I love it. I I will tell you that from the example that I gave you all about addressing it, burning it, and burying it, that once I put two and two together about that thing about the garage sale, and I'm using that because I want to walk it all the way out for you. Once
Right.
I put it together and I realized, oh, I was just too young to really give it context. My mom and dad, I asked my mom because she watches every morning. I said, Mom, do you remember that? She said, no, I don't even think you talked to me about that. And I probably didn't, because as a child, I probably wouldn't have thought anything about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
the things that you're thinking about back here, right? That you
Mhm.
don't even know to share. It's just a thought. Like you said, it's the Trojan horse. It just kind of comes in, plants a little seed, and then there
Mhm.
you're stuck with it. And so, but as soon as I realized that, I had to realize that, okay, it goes back to that thing about perspective. When I was little, that thing seemed huge to me, right? So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
right there. But now that
Mhm.
I can see it, I'm like, oh no, that's no,
Yeah.
And so you don't dance with it, don't play with it, don't do anything.
Mhm.
Burn it and bury it and leave it.
Come on.
And then
Yeah.
the other areas of your life where that
That's
thinking
right.
may have leaked. Where else do you think you're not enough? Where else do you think what you create may not be enough? Look into those areas. And I looked around and I was like, no, no.
Mhm.
And you just cut it. You just cut it. So that's the thing that I'm really trying to encourage, and we're really trying to impress upon you, is that through our life experiences, we can tell you firsthand about coming up to that place of decision when the weight
Mhm.
of the world and emotions are on you, and the experience would leave many people flat, and having to
Mhm.
say, but I choose this, but
That's
I
right.
press on. And sometimes you're doing it in faith. And like you said, people showed up for you. God put people around you. So you didn't have to
Mhm.
walk it alone, so that you were encouraged in some ways. And yeah, some people were doing this, but some people were putting hands to the plow, and you just really have to trust that that will happen for you. And that's why it's important, those daily affirmations that you say to
Mhm.
yourself, that
Mhm.
self-care. What is your self-care routine going to be for your mind,
Right.
your body, and your spirit? Right?
And I wanted to address that. That's so beautiful what you just said, because we have to understand that life doesn't always, we're not operating always by a stop clock. So what do I mean? That means that those childhood experiences that we have experienced when we were 7, 8, 9, 10 may not come up until we're 35, may
Come on.
not come up until we're 40, may not come up until we're 50, but that's okay. They came up. So as long as they rose up, it's not too late to be healed. It will never be too late for you to be healed, no
Yeah.
matter any state of life that experience or circumstance happened in. Rejoice that you saw it,
Yeah.
because some people die without even knowing that they were good enough. And oh my gosh! And here's the thing: I love cooking, right? And one thing that I've noticed whenever I would prepare my tea or coffee or whatever, and have to boil it. I know they have Kroger's and all of those other things, but it helps you define what's in the water. Because at first you can't see it with your natural eye. You can't see the infirmities. You can't see the calcium or whatever is in the water until you apply the heat. So sometimes we got to thank God for the heat, because
Yeah.
that exposes to us what's in us that we don't need, so we can get rid of it and become better people in the end.
Absolutely. Michael says, never too late to be healed. That is,
Never
it's
too late.
absolutely true.
Never too late.
And I see that you're a fan of daily affirmations, Jennifer. That is great. And it's important. And here's the thing. Sometimes you don't know how to do it,
Mhm.
right? That's why get tools and things that will help you, because yeah, you want to do affirmations
Aw.
because
You got a
that's what
witness.
I know. She's testifying. That's what devotionals and things will do. That's what's showing up in the morning, because your affirmation has to be real to you. It can't just be
Right.
something we say, now there was an affirmation that I gave you all during the first 21 days, and that I hope that you continue to lean on, and that is that you are worthy of being healed and whole, and you are
Yes.
deserving of being healed and whole.
That's good. That's good.
You are worthy of being healed and whole, and you are deserving of being healed and whole. And when you understand that, that if you can just say it until it really takes root, because I get it. For some people, you've been through some things that don't make you feel that don't allow you to even believe it. Kind of like how Monique was saying, I feel like I quit forgetting everything that everybody said about her dancing. I just don't see it. It can be hard, but that's why I need you all. And some of you have been very good about this, reaching out to me so I can help you. Because some of you need a therapist. You need a therapist to work through some very traumatic things that you've dealt with in your life.
Right.
And it's a kind of work that you can only do in that direction. Some of you just need a coach because it's not that it was a heavy trauma, but you just get stuck because your processes and your mindset keep you held up, right? Then I can do that for you too. And it may not even be me. It might be somebody who is more experienced in a certain area. But the commitment is that we get healed. We will not be people. We will not be people. And who's the people? The empowerment tribe, whoever you are, whatever you are, all races, creeds, faiths, and beliefs, the empowerment tribe, we will be a healed people. I've been saying your affirmation and even shared it in my workshop. Of course, you're fine. Thank you. I appreciate that. But that is an important part of getting up every day and being able to face what comes, is the belief that I am, no matter what I face, no matter what people say, no matter what I read in the timeline, no matter what's happening, I am worthy and deserving of being healed, healthy, and whole. And I pray that that's something that you will grab onto, you all, and continue to work that. Neil says, Bishop Lofton brought me a timely word today. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm proud of you because I see you continuing to do the work. Neil posted, I'm going to say it because you put it on your public page. If you don't want me to say nothing about it.
Call out.
But because part of the thing is his ongoing self-care. And he put up the funny face. I don't remember who it was. Was it Keanu Reeves or somebody going, first day of therapy face?
You're such an awesome person. God bless you. Man, you
I love it. His testimony is not only what he shares in his devotionals, his Bible studies. His testimony is how he's walking out his own healing. That's what I need you all to understand. We don't come here and pretend like we've never been through anything or, because who benefits in that? Who learns from that? The fact is, you all sat next to him in the chat forever and never scented what he had been through, right? But now you have a deeper, I hope, appreciation for who he is as your brother in the empowerment tribe, who he is as a light bearer, who he is as a man, who he is as a father. And so I know I do. And so I'm thankful that you accepted the request to come and share today and be a part of this. Do you have some final thoughts that you want to share?
I do. I would encourage everyone to read the Our Deepest Fear poem by Mariana Williamson.
Oh, yes.
And one of the parts I love about it is when she says, we ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. You're playing yourself small, does not serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. And the last sentence is more so in the last stanza, because I know we're short for time, where it says, we unconsciously give other people permission. And as we let our light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. And I think that pretty much sums what I wanted to say today.
Oh, sir, you can just go ahead and back on up because I think that's a beautiful poem to go out on. So I'm just going to pull it up because I think that's That's where we need to leave it today. Monique says, for sure, grateful for your share, Savalas. That's my favorite poem. Michael says, thank you to both of us. And thank you, Michael, for always showing up and be a constant prayerful presence. And thank you, Sister Leola, for being on here. So let's take a look, y'all. Let's take a look at that poem, because I mean, talk about some good seeds to plant.
Oh, yeah.
That is a good
Definitely.
seed to plant. There it is. Our deepest fear is not that we're inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we're powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. Go ahead, Svalas.
We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There's nothing about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine as children do. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we're liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others.
That's awesome. And so, Empowerment Tribe, we've been talking about what are the things that we want to share on our pages to bring light into what can seem like a dark abyss out there in social media. And I think that that will be what we share today. Whatever form or version you find of that poem, I'll try to mock something up and put Empowerment Tribe, just so people know it's a movement that we are really trying to bring light. And we'll share that. We'll share that on our page. That will be the word for today. You guys down with that? Give me the yes, yes. Savalas, everybody's saying thank you. Miss Helen.
I love you,
Jennifer,
everyone.
Tamara, got to go help with this deal. Yep, got you. Thank you, sis. Thank you for the transparency and the 2.0 share. Continue to be blessed. Absolutely. So that's what we're going to do. Savalas, wait for me in the green room. I just want to share a couple other things that are going on. Okay?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, brother. Appreciate you and love you.
Love you too.
So you all, just another fabulous day, just, sharing from the word and sharing from our hearts. Yes, yes. Okay, good. We're going to post it. I see y'all. We're just going to flood. I don't care what happens today, what happens in the news. I don't care what your crazy Facebook friend says. It doesn't matter. We are all going to share that poem. We're going to spread some light. Listen, tomorrow, I want you all to join me. I'm still firming some stuff up and still working some stuff out. But the conversation tomorrow, keep it lifted. I'm trying to get a diverse group of psychotherapists to come on so we can have this continuing conversation in the healing series, how to talk so people listen, how to listen so people will talk. That is so needed right now. How to talk about race relations with compassion and courage. That is where we're going tomorrow. And remember that tomorrow we do 1 o'clock, 1 p.m., right? So every day of the week we're on at 10, but tomorrow for Life Unscripted, it's always Thursday at 1 p.m. This is an important conversation. Let me tell you how, because I know some of you don't even you living the Black or brown experience don't know how to have that conversation with some of your friends. And I get it. And there's absolutely no judgment there, but these are going to be tools to help you. You sharing it will be the tool that helps. And having therapists do the conversation is because they have the tools to help us, as I said, talk so people will listen, and listen so people will talk. That's how we're going to come to an understanding. That's how we're going to push America forward, this world for that matter, right? And lead with love. I love you all so much. There's not one part of the day that I go through that I'm not thinking about you all. And I need you to know that. Following up on Thursday, we'll come back Friday for our live coaching. And we'll follow up on some of the exercises that we did this week, okay? So make sure that after tomorrow at 1 p.m., you come back for Friday at 10 a.m. and we'll get together and we'll round the week out right. I want you to know, just on a spiritual tip, right before we came on, I was listening to a couple of things. I was listening to Stevie Wonder's Love's in Need. I don't know if you all remember that one, Love's in Need of Love Today. And the other song was Maurette Brown Clark's It Ain't Over Till God Says It says it's over. And so that's what I want to say to you all today. Love's in need. So figure out how you're going to show and share love today. Whatever it is, big, small, whatever. Love you back. And beyond that, just know that whatever it looks like today, it's not over till God says it's over. Okay. Love you back, Miss Helen. Love you back. All right. That's our charge today. It's not that hard. I think you all got it. I think you could do it. I think you can get out there and make it happen. All right. So until tomorrow, you're growing. Well, that's all that we could ask for. We're all growing. You're growing. We're growing. We're all growing. That's what God's trying to see. Like, where's your try? Just get in every day and show up. If you make a mistake, whatever, bounce back up. But are you learning? Are you growing? Are you trying? Your niece is wilding out. All right, y'all. I love you to life. Have a great day, and I'll see you again tomorrow.